Hello, my name is Michael. I've been a pharmacist for nearly 20 years, and this is my third herb festival. And I came last year, enjoyed it so much, I thought it'd be great to make the pilgrimage to Croydon Hall again. But what's great about HerbFest is really just meeting old friends and new friends and learning from them about how herbs help them in their everyday life. And it gives me one or two ideas that I can take back to my pharmacy practice. In particular, recommending customers to consider consulting with a medical herbalist, particularly for chronic conditions that perhaps conventional medicines haven't been able to help them.
Native American Indians say that this is another spiritual signature, that of the sucking doctor. So the sucking doctor is a kind of a shaman who will pull the evil back out of you. Evil here can mean anything from whatever ghost or demon to sickness, to cold. You stood in the cold wind and invaded your system, so Chinese medicine calls that external cold injury, and you suck it back out. So this becomes very important when I teach cupping, because cupping is part of the tradition of the sucking doctor, of removing things by sucking them out. So
in a few years in a small way, but I feel I've lost touch with the actual plants and become much more engrossed in the clinical side of herbal medicine, and I wanted to get back in touch with the plants, and it's really achieved my aim. Being with people who are much more involved with the plants themselves and being in a beautiful place has inspired me, so it's been absolutely achieved as I came to do. I'm very grateful.
Look at a plant on several levels in terms of the doctrine of signatures, and what you'll see here also is that it's really a multi-dimensional world. So just because it's rhythmical, and that means it's a lung plant, doesn't mean it can't be rhythmical for, there's another organ system that's highly structured in a rhythmical way, which is the skeletal system, right? And that there's no contradiction. So when you're in reductionist science, that becomes a problem. But in the holistic realm, that doesn't become a problem,
I remember treating someone once with chronic low-grade colitis, and took him off bread. Taking people off wheat is the single most powerful intervention you can do, actually. Took him off bread, and his doctor prescribed gluten-free vegetables. Quite cute, quite nice. And I gave him various herbs, agrimony and stuff like that. And one day he came, he knocked at the door and he said, "I'm as well as I want to be."
And I was born in a village in Portugal, so there was still 54 years ago, the herbal tradition was still very much there. And then I moved to England when I was 17, and that continued. I came to England for the Beatles, really, the Rolling Stones, but the herbs got me. And I started with Christopher Hadley in evening courses in London.
HerbFest this weekend. It's the first time I've been here, and meeting lots of lovely, inspiring people and touching bases on people I've met before. I'm not a herbalist, but I use herbs in my everyday life and love foraging and putting them into food and using them just for sort of my own self-healing or friends. So I'm embarking on a bit of a journey at the moment, planting lots of stuff in my garden and looking at perhaps sort of a self-education programme by going on lots of courses that people are setting up all around the world, as well as doing some sort of online studying.
And daylily has also been used as a cancer remedy in folk medicine in Asia where it's native. And then what is really amazing about it is if you pull the roots out of the ground, they really come out looking like the milk glands in the breast. So it's been used for breast cancer.
And yes, and that's been 30 years ago. And then I moved back to Portugal, and I started teaching English in schools, but I noticed that the school gardens were not attended. Nobody was paying any attention to them. So I started making herb gardens in schools. And that was a very interesting experience, making links with grandparents. So the children were very much into that, the parents not so much, but the grandparents gave me a really nice feedback of what their grandchildren were telling them home. It was like waking up their memories of the plants, and that was very interesting. So I started going to the villages and asking people what they still knew about plants, and then I started writing some books about that, and I've written some books for children about herbs and for adults.
People speak about plants, wild plants, collections, uses, medicine, means miserable people, poor people, high, lower, poor class. So I arrived quite completely innocent asking about plants. So silly, because the people feel offended. I say, why do you feel wrong? After we were very good friends, 6 months in that way, they say, because we thought that you are going to make different social classes. You say, oh, because they are eating this type of plants, they are poor people. Living a year, and after this, learning about 252 different species of useful plants. Magic! I collect all these plants and all the people working together. I say, okay, you have this incredible information. So that was the main point in my
over your
life.
door, you'll be protected.
From what?
Everything. Taxmen. I tend to hang mugwort over my door. I hang mugwort over my door. The other day, have my shopping delivered, and the shopping was delivered by a West African man, and he looked up at the mugwort. It's the first person who's ever done that. He said, "Is it safe to come in here?" And I said, "It's there to stop bad spirits coming in. Are you a good spirit?" He said, "Yes."
Sunshine gives us light, rain fills our green shoots, roots, Sunshine gives us light, rain fills my green shoots, roots, 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 branch and leaf we spread and grow. Sunshine gives us light,